Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carol Distel. I'm with Discover Manufacturing Week. I'm here joined with Jerry Hill, and off screen I have Kirsten Schulte, who is going to be helping me with the webinar. So welcome this week. We appreciate you being here. We have a full schedule, so I want to go through a few housekeeping items. First of all, we have four amazing speakers or amazing companies, a couple more speakers who will be speaking to us about their organizations. So each of our panelists will be talking first, each about 10 minutes in length, and then following that, we'll be taking questions. So if you do have any questions, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen or wherever you find it in your toolbox and submit those questions. We will answer as many questions as possible during this time. We're going to be here for 1 hour. For you students who are incentivized by having some games and some fun, please note that anybody who does submit a question, make sure it's a good question, not what the weather is like, but a question that pertains to our panelists. We'll be putting all those people in a pool to receive one of 20 gift cards, $25 gift cards. So please ask those questions, and our panelists will be looking into the Q&A box frequently to answer those questions as well. At the end of the webinar, once you close out, there will be a survey that will pop up. So we ask you to take that survey, let us know how we did. If you are watching this as a class, then we will send the survey to your teachers, and they can distribute that to you. So without further ado, I am going to introduce actually Eagle Alloy, and we're going to lead off too with the video. Is that correct, Nick? And start with our video. And
that is correct.
Awesome. So we're going to show the Eagle Alloy, and then we're going to introduce Nick afterwards to follow up. So Kirsten, if you can get that for us.
Welcome to Eagle Alloy. Come on inside and let us show you how we produce world-class castings. We are a profit-sharing and employee-owned manufacturing company that was started over 40 years ago. Our nearly 300,000 square foot facility is located in the Lakeshore community of Muskegon, Michigan. Our quality and engineering teams provide our 300 customers with the expertise to produce 150 different alloys of castings, utilizing some of the newest industry technologies such as 3D modeling and 3D printed materials, simulation software, 3D scanning, and creating our own robotic cell. This group is responsible to ensure we stay an industry leader in this highly competitive market. In partnership with our production department, our highly engaged workforce ensures the highest of quality is met in each of the 3,000 part numbers we produce. Our size of castings range from less than 1 pound to 500 pounds. Servicing about 20 different industries, Eagle Alloy provides castings to several recognizable customers, such as Harley-Davidson, John Deere, Cat, and Bobcat. Some of our proudest achievements include Michigan Manufacturer of the Year, Modern Castings Manufacturer of the Year, along with many other customer quality awards. Eagle Alloy has wide variety of opportunities from general laborer, molders, welders, furnace technicians, maintenance staff, inspectors, engineering and quality position, CNC and tooling construction staff, internships, co-ops, and many more. So if you are an individual looking for a company with a great culture, pride of employee ownership, and look for a career, not just a job, come on down to apply. We are always looking to hire the right people to ensure we remain world-class as we move forward.
Thank you. So let me introduce Nick. Tell us a little bit about what you do at Eagle Alloy.
My name is Nick Tarswell. I'm a graduate from Michigan Tech. I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering and an emphasis in business. I currently sit on the board at Eagle Alloy and work as the Chief Technical Officer here. With this role, I am responsible for all of our engineering and quality department job functions. Eagle Alloy was started in 1979. We are a shell and airset molding manufacturing company that produces a wide variety of castings. Eagle Alloy is an employee-owned company and also a profit-sharing organization. We are currently 55% owned by our employees with a goal to become 100% in the very near future. In addition, we are also self-insured and have an on-site health clinic available to our staff. Our nearly 300,000 square foot facility resides on Evanston Avenue in Muskegon. We produce 3,000 different castings for over 300 different customers and 150 different alloys. As you heard, our products range from less than 1 pound to over 500 pounds net weight. Some of those notable customers are Harley-Davidson, Bobcat, John Deere, and Caterpillar. Eagle Alloy currently services 19 industries, kind of shown on the slide here. In addition to those industries, we're always trying to grow the casting applications. As you know, there are always new technologies and new companies looking to purchase cast products where they aren't currently doing that or looking to improve current fabrications or improve on current forging designs. Some additional industries that we are also considering is electric vehicle, solar, and more. I also do want to mention that Eagle Alloy is one of 4 companies that is made up here in the Eagle Group, located all in Muskegon. Eagle Precision is our sister investment casting division next to us here in Muskegon. Eagle CNC is our sister machining division located in North Muskegon. And Eagle Aluminum is our sister aluminum division downtown Muskegon. Total combined employment for the Eagle Group is around 400 people and growing. Now I want to give a little bit of a quick overview on what is a casting, as this comes up quite often. A casting is quite simply a shape produced by pouring molten metal into a mold to hold the metal into the designed shape until the liquid cools to room temperature. If you think of it, it is very much like an ice cube in a tray, where the water is poured into the tray and the tray freezes, and it conforms to that unique shape of the ice tray when removed. The same is the case with a casting, where the hot metal is poured into the desired shape by the mold and cools to room temperature. With this, castings are typically more complex geometry and shapes, given the unlimited potential with the design flexibility. In the lower left, you can see in the light purple that is a steel casting for a pressure containing valve that holds about 5,000 psi. The above shows a little of our CAD software design process and solidification software that we use to predict how the molten metal in the mold will react for the casting shrinking into its desired shape. The CAD file we'll see in the upper left translated into several million cells, and we will use each of these cells to individually evaluate how that 3,000 degree pouring temperature cools down to room temp, and what does that do to the properties of the casting. The video that you are seeing displayed is essentially a pouring aspect of a 3,050 degree Fahrenheit pouring process that happens in about 15 seconds. What you're seeing by the color display is actually the temperature gradient from hot to cold sections, because the metal cools as the mold is filled. Once our tooling is constructed and the castings are produced, we have in-house capability with 2 3D scanners. You can see our blue light and red light scanners, as we need to qualify the castings against the customer's original design intent. Much like the solidification software, we are using the 3D scanning technology to scan the castings and produce several million individual cells to form an exterior shell of the actual casting on the tray. From here, we can do color mapping and dimensional inspection electronically to compare versus the customer print. Beyond Eagle Alloy, I'm also here to talk to you a little bit on the importance of manufacturing. So with that, did you know manufacturing leads to more research and development, innovation, productivity, exports, and middle-class jobs? Manufacturing helps raise living standards more than any other sector. Manufacturing also generates more economic activity than any other sector. An important fact that is often referenced: for every dollar of domestic manufacturing value added, another $3.60 of economic activity is generated elsewhere across the economy. For every 1 manufacturing job, there is 3.4 jobs created in non-manufacturing industries. No other sector comes close to these numbers. If we switch over to Eagle's direct manufactured products, castings, here are a little bit of casting facts that I want to kind of give you to kind of know the importance of castings. The oldest known castings are over 5,000 years old. If you are in any U.S. city, you are no more than 10 feet away from a casting at any given time. If you think about the automotive, you think about the manhole covers, you think about fencing, rails, light post supports, the castings are numerous. Michigan is also the 3rd largest state for producing castings. 90% of durable goods rely on castings, and even 7 metal casters signed the U.S. Declaration of Independence. Now, if you shift over to an important topic these days, the green in manufacturing. Manufacturing is the largest sector of the American economy. For that portion, for Eagle Alloy, foundries are a very big portion of the manufacturing, are very green as well. We purchase scrap steel from all over the state, very much is here local, and we recycle 100% of this scrap steel to produce our castings. Even our gates and risers, or our scrap, is recycled again to have net 0 waste. We even recycle the sand that is used for our molding process to make the castings. A unique fact about our steel and several others is it is a permanent material that can be indefinitely recycled and is 100% recyclable during its life without loss of quality. As we continue to discuss green, castings are critical to supporting the growth in renewable energy. According to the DOE, there are several promise for alternative energy sources such as biomass, geothermal, pumps, hydropower, solar, wind, and energy. Biopower, for example, uses several cast components, including industrial fans, pumping equipment, piping, and turbines. I hope this gives a better understanding of what we do here at Eagle Alloy. Please know there are a wide variety of opportunities to receive help with scholarships, apply for internships. We also offer tuition reimbursement for college or trade schools. Please know we as manufacturers are always looking to hire, help train, and the development of the next generation of workers to further advance our facilities utilizing the latest technologies. I hope this provides some insight on why manufacturing is also important and gives you a better understanding of all of the benefits behind manufacturing and the opportunities here. Thanks again for your time and interest in manufacturing and Eagle Alloy.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. And I learned a lot too. So if you have questions for Nick, please put them in the chat box. And we're going to move on to have Kirsten. She's going to load our next video, which is for quality tool and stamping. So we're going to watch that, and then we're going to hear from Preston and Matthew following the video.
Hi, I'm Mike Kuznar, Director of Operations, Quality Tool and Stamping in Muskegon Heights. We'd like to invite you inside to take a tour to see a little bit of what QTS is about. Here at Quality Tool and Stamping, we are a metal fabricator and stamper that makes parts for the medical industry as well as the heavy trucking industry.
I am in charge of 25 different machines ranging from 60 ton to 1,000 tons. We run a variety of materials from 18 gauge up to a 1/2 inch thick steel. We at Quality Tool over the last 42 years have experienced a lot of growth, and all that time we've always kept the same focus of exceeding and meeting our customers' expectations with quality and on-time delivery.
So one of the many things I like about working here at Quality Tool and Stamping is it's really hands-on. We're always looking at new development, new products. So it's a fast-paced kind of business. So that's what I really like about working here. The people here are really close. So you can always ask questions, you don't feel shy.
Always something different. Always something different. I love a good challenge, and it's always something different from one day to the next.
There's entry-level positions in this trade and all the other trades in this building. We offer training for people that don't know anything about it, or if guys or girls go to a tech center for some technical training, they'll start at a higher wage. If you have a question, there are people around with answers. You're never on your own here. You're never an island. You can always go talk to somebody. Someone somewhere has been there and done that before.
The thing I mostly enjoy, it's a family-owned company, and although there's 100 people per se, it's still a close-knit family operation.
I've worked here for 26 years due to company treating me well. I started as a metal finish operator, worked up to a press room. I ran laser, and then I ran press brake, then I was set up, and then I went from there to supervisor.
We hope you enjoyed the tour of Quality Tool and Stamping today, and if you'd like to learn more about us, please check us out at qtstamping.com.
Thank you. So Preston, I'm going to have you take yourself off of mute there and introduce yourself and let us know more about what you do at Quality Tool and Stamping.
Absolutely. Matt, can you mute? Thank you. My name is Preston Smith. I'm a former non-commissioned officer in the United States Army. After I left the service, I went to Grand Valley State University and received a bachelor's in finance. And I highly encourage you all to do that in reverse. Go to school first, then go to the Army if you want to go that route. But for those of you who don't want to go to school, I'd love to talk a little bit more about some of the opportunities that are available immediately out of high school. But first, a bit more about our company. So you got to see up close and personal what a lot of people never will, and that's the inside of a stamping house. And our company is unique for a lot of reasons. But first and foremost, we were founded in 1957 by Frank Kuznar as a simple tool and die shop. And the Kuznars have been able to guide the company for 3 generations. And we are currently led by the 3rd generation of the Kuznar family. And in that time, we've grown substantially, particularly in the last 10 years. And we're at a point now where we have almost 150 employees. And I'm very proud to say that we've been able to maintain just about everyone through the pandemic. But that's not only a testament to our company, but also our customers as well, who have continued to maintain their markets in really difficult times. And frankly, unprecedented. So one of the differences between a stamping house and a casting shop, like you just saw at Eagle Alloy, is stampings are generally better suited for high volume parts that are typically less complex. And what that enables us to do is all of our parts start out as a flat sheet of steel. And those sheets are blanked in one of 2 ways. So in the video, you saw many of our larger stamping presses. That's the most common way, is you just take a giant piece of metal called a die. It has a top and a bottom, and you squish that sheet of steel, and out comes a flat part. The other way that we now have the opportunity to do, and really have for the last 20 years or so, is use a high-powered laser to cut out that same part. And depending on how the part is shaped and how complex the die is, we'll drive that decision. But either way, we need highly trained operators in jobs that you can get right out of high school operating that equipment. And once those flat parts are produced, then they're formed either on the same presses in a new die, or if they're smaller parts that are handheld, we can form them on something called a press brake, which is really just a smaller hydraulic press. And then finally, some of those parts are welded into complex assemblies. So the core of our business, and really the primary opportunity for anybody looking to get a job here initially, is as a stamping press operator. And stamping press operators have frankly built this company from the ground up. And it's been an entry-level spot for many, many people who have gone on to do almost every other job in the company. But one of the opportunities that, like I said, happened about 20 years ago is we were able to begin acquiring lasers, and many of our operators got trained on those lasers. And now we have new entry-level jobs, even programming and then operating lasers, which are probably the most advanced manufacturing technology that we have here in the house. Um, Many operators who prefer more hands-on work can move over to the press brakes. Press brakes, like I said, are used for smaller parts, so you get to handle a lot of parts that require some dexterity, they require some skill, but it's a good, consistent job for those looking for it. And then at the end of the line, some of our parts are welded into complex assemblies. And if you have any interest in becoming a certified welder at any number of the tech centers located here in West Michigan, we can provide you some really great opportunities to do that in a production environment with a really consistent schedule. And again, that's driven by customer demands. You know, our customers, until it gets to the very last person, there's a whole chain of customers, and our customers are in a variety of industries, but mostly in medical and heavy trucking. And thankfully, those have done well this year. Now, in order to keep all this equipment running, we have one overarching role for those who are more technically inclined, and that could be you. And that's as a maintenance technician. And one of the unique opportunities is to earn an incredible amount of on-the-job training. And that on-the-job training has prepared our maintenance technicians to get certified in virtually every trade: HVAC, plumbing, electrical. It's difficult to find an opportunity that will provide you such a well-rounded chance to learn almost anything you're inclined to learn. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Matt Sander, who will tell you a bit more about the benefits of working here at Quality Tool and Stamping.
Thank you, Preston. Hello, my name is Matt Sander. I'm a human resources assistant here at Quality Tool and Stamping. I graduated college this past spring and came on full-time in April. Although my job isn't directly related to the manufacturing process, I can speak a little bit about how well I've been treated in my short amount of time that I've been here. And I think that if you were to ask any of our employees, they would most likely tell you the same thing. I think that showed through in the video very well. You know, if you were to walk the shop floor, it wouldn't be hard to find an employee who has been here for 10 plus years. And I think that our benefits, competitive wages, and the family-owned team environment really allow us to retain our employees for as long as we do. So if you graduate and are looking for an entry-level job and looking to get your foot in the door at a company with plenty of opportunity to advance, Quality Tool and Stamping is really a great option.
Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Preston. I greatly appreciate that, and I love the comparison too of what you do and how it's different from what Nick does. So thank you for sharing that with us. So next, we are going to move to GE Aviation, and we have Curtis Evans, who is joining us this afternoon. So I'll have him take himself off mute and say hello to us. Curtis, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing great. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. So tell us a little bit more about what you do at GE Aviation.
Okay, if I can start out by sharing my screen and then. As Carol indicated, my name's Curtis Evans. I'm the Human Resources Leader at GE Aviation here in Muskegon. And as you may be able to tell from my accent, I'm not originally from West Michigan. I'm originally from Arkansas, but have lived in the Midwest for the past 35 years. I have an undergraduate degree in chemistry and a master's in business from Purdue. And as you can see from the slide, we have 4 facilities in the greater Muskegon area. The 2 on the left are located in the Port City Industrial Park, and the 2 on the right are located in the Norton Shores Industrial Park off of Old Grand Haven Road. We own the facilities at Latimer site. We have long-term leases at the Norton Shores complex. One of the things that we're particularly proud of is our safety record. Johnson Technology, which was what we were known as previously, has been around since 1963. In 1997, GE Aviation acquired the business, and at that point in time, our recordable injury rate was just over 12. And just to kind of put it in perspective, injury rate of 12 means that for every 100 people that you employ, about 12 of them over the course of the year were injured sufficiently to require something beyond first aid. And you can see over the next 15 years or so how that rate dropped dramatically. And since 2008 through the present, 12 out of the 13 years we've had a recordable injury rate of less than 1, which is world-class performance. The products that we make primarily go on aircraft engines. We produce high-pressure turbine nozzles and shrouds for both military and commercial applications. The military applications that we power include the B-1 bomber, the Navy Hornet and Super Hornet that the Blue Angels fly, the A-10 Warthog, which has been around 40 years already. And we also have Black Hawk and Apache helicopter engines that we manufacture parts for. On the commercial side, our largest customers are Boeing and Airbus. Boeing planes powered by our parts include the 737 and the 737 MAX, the 747, the 787 Dreamliner, and the 777. Airbus uses variants of our engines on their planes, ranging from the A321 to the 330 to the 350 to the massive A380. Our parts are located just downstream from the combustor, which means they experience the hottest and most harsh environment in the engine. What this means is that not only do we sell our parts when a new engine's being assembled, we also get to sell spare parts when the engines have been flown enough that the engine needs to be rebuilt. The castings that we use as raw materials for our finished products are nickel and cobalt-based super alloys. As a result, they are very, very hard, and you must use non-conventional machining in order to remove material. The processes that we use include high-speed grinding using carbon boron nitride impregnated wheels and oil, electrical discharge machining, where an electrical arc basically dissolves the metal in a desired shape. We also do braze and heat treat and weld more simple parts into complex assemblies. We have the ability to put coatings on the parts, in this particular vapor phase aluminide coating, as well as suspended plasma spray to further protect the parts from heat and oxidation. And over on the right-hand side, you can see a lot of the support processes that allow us to be self-sufficient. That capability of being self-sufficient was really necessary when we were Johnson Technology. Now, even though we're owned by GE Aviation, we've maintained that self-sufficiency as a competitive advantage. I'd like to talk a little bit about our hiring processes because it's a little bit different than many companies. Most companies hire employees at the intersection of knowledge that they need to have and experiences that they want them to have. We try to take it one step further. We believe that the employee's ability to fit into the company culture is just as important as the knowledge and the experience that they have. When you think about once you start your career, you're going to spend more time in your workplace than you do in your off hours when you take out sleep time. So it really needs to be an environment not only that you can be productive in, but also one that's a good fit for you. Why is culture critical to us? Well, we need employees who are high integrity individuals. The analogy like that I use with this is not to put a knock on automotive, but when there's a problem with one of our engines that's caused by one of our parts, you don't pull over on the side of the road, pop the hood and call AAA. You're putting the lives of passengers at stake. You're putting the lives of our servicemen and women at stake in the ability to complete their missions. And if our engines aren't doing their job, they can't. So if someone's having a quality issue, they need to raise their hand and say, I've got a problem. This part doesn't meet spec. We need to do something about it. We need people that are going to be lifelong learners. I know you're in school now and you probably can't wait for it to be over, but at the end of the day, the learning piece is never going to be over. The entry-level people that we hire in today, tomorrow, next year, are going to not be in those jobs their entire career. They're going to grow, they're going to progress, they're going to need to be able to learn and retain new things, and we want people who are into that. We want people who have initiatives that aren't waiting for things to happen. When they have time and they have the ability, they go looking for things to do. We want people who are problem solvers. When we have a problem in the line, in many cases, the people that are best suited to help identify the problem and come up with solutions to those problems are the people that run the equipment every day. So we need people who have that mindset. We need people who can be a member of a team. There is nothing that we do here on any lengthy basis that is a one-person task. Whether or not you're doing your part and then passing the part to the next person down, or whether you're involved in a Kaizen or improvement event where as a team you come together to figure out how we can make improvements, you have to be able to be a member of a team. Being a member of a good team involves good communication skills. So the ability to speak effectively to your coworker, to read and understand and write down instruction, all of those are important skills. And finally, are you able to disagree with someone? We don't think everyone needs to agree on everything, but are you able to disagree without being disagreeable? And as we've seen with social media, that's sometimes not real easy to do. We need people who are dedicated to continuous improvement. And again, back on the social media piece, we need people that can stay off their computer, their laptop, their iPad for their workday, and then not use social media as a proxy for face-to-face conversations with their coworkers. We want people, when they have issues and problems, to be able to effectively deal with it one-on-one. So when we get people like this, what's the payoff for GE Aviation? Well, one payoff is that people tend to stay with us for a long time. 16 out of the last 18 years, we've had less than 2% of the people, as I call it, vote with their feet and go to work someplace else. So that tells me that we're not a bad place to work. Secondly, when we get people like that have those characteristics, we're able to promote people within, and we promote people within to about 90% of our openings that are non-entry level. So once you get a job with us, you can turn that into a career with us. Again, I talked about safety, but being able to go home in pretty much the same condition, maybe a little more fatigue than when you came in, but we want you going home with all your fingers and hands and toes in a safe manner. And then finally, the ability to grow and develop both a broad set of skills where you're able to do a lot of different things and a deep set of skills where you're really able to drill down and become a subject matter expert on a particular topic. Finally, the payoff is by having stable employment and giving people challenges, we have the ability to attract new employees pretty easily when needed. Now, it's not all one way. It's very important that it's something for our employees also. So first and foremost, our employees start off at an entry-level wage of over $15 an hour that has a highly competitive benefit package that goes along with Again, safety is important here. Our employees want to go home safe too. Amazing opportunities to grow their career and a stable employer. Up until this summer, which this is a year that I think I can speak for all of the employers on this call, it's been unlike anything else I've ever seen. But up until this year, we had been 35 years without an involuntary layoff among our hourly workforce. COVID certainly did a number on us with that, but again, we have a very good history about having employment for people once they come to work for us. And then finally, we have an annual bonus program that's averaged 25% of the person's annual income over the past 10 years. And that's been in the $10,000 to $12,000 a year gross paycheck range. So the government's going to get their part, but anytime that you have something that on average pays out $10,000 or $12,000 for all our hourly employees, that's a pretty generous bonus program. So including culture in the hiring process, we think really helps us hit the bullseye when it comes to hiring employees.
Thank you, Curtis. I appreciate you going through that with us and getting your understanding and GE's understanding of culture and how important it is to you and to both the company and the person individually. So thank you. We are going to move to our next speaker, which is David Farrell. And David, do you want to do a quick intro first, or you want us to go right into the video for you?
Let's launch right into the video.
Hello, I'm Craig Yeck. I'm the Technical Manager here at Scherdel Sales and Technology. Here in our facility in Muskegon, Michigan, we have 150 employees. We are a German-based company making springs and stampings and small assemblies for the automotive industry. We're a car manufacturer. We make a lot of components that go into them. So we have the interior, we have some components that are engine and transmission related. We supply our major OEMs such as BMW, Ford, Chrysler, GM, for example. We have a very broad customer base where we are supplying not only springs, but we are supplying some assemblies as well as directly to the OEMs themselves at their facilities throughout the United States. So when people are thinking about manufacturing, they normally think about old, dirty machines. What you see here at our facility is we are a leading technology, so we have a clean facility. We are investing into all the new equipment. There's a whole bunch of things that are happening within the industry as we are talking today, and we want to encompass that as much as we can in order to help the new generation bring in to the manufacturing field, because without manufacturing, obviously there's no more vehicles. So we want to make sure that we can continue that here on site and by using the best technology available out on the market.
All right, David. David Farrell, welcome. Tell us a little bit what you do.
I am an applications engineer at Scherdel Sales and Technology. So essentially, I'm in charge of making sure that the selected applications I'm in charge of, which is assemblies, that I work with the customer to provide their needs, help them in any development work they may have, as well as work through the lifetime of an actual product as it's in production on the floor to help solve any issues and basically make sure that everything is running smoothly and figure out ways to improve the process over time as well. So I'm going to be going over, I was asked to go over some of the technical things that I handle, as well as just in general, some of the stuff about the company. So we're going to jump to the next slide, and that's going to be talking about one of our biggest parts that we end up producing here. And this is brake pad clips. Now, as previously mentioned in the video, we supply a lot of parts to a lot of different levels of companies. So oftentimes brake pads, like the whole braking system, isn't necessarily made by the final car manufacturer. So we end up working with the people who are designing the braking systems and creating the ideal brake pads and springs for those assemblies. And a lot of this doesn't just have to do with the original engineering concept. Oftentimes, as parts end up getting carried over between programs, sometimes it's iterative design processes. So for example, we end up seeing a lot of companies, or one of the major companies that we sell to has developed through several generations of these pad clips with us. And we end up working with them and with the people on the floor, finding out what they're seeing as they're making the parts in order to help make a better part for our customers, as well as make easier parts for the people who are actually working production on the floor. And we really try to focus on making sure that the responsible applications engineers are very accessible to production. We also have people focused entirely on improving the processes themselves, but we also want to make sure that if we do see quality issues, that we end up being able to bring in the engineer responsible and loop them into the discussions with the production people on the floor, so we can end up solving them as quickly as possible and delivering high quality products to the customers. This is another spring that goes in a lot of braking systems. This goes in drum braking systems, but one of the things that I wanted to bring up with this slide is we have a prototype department. And why I bring it up for this is we recently had a project designing or working with a customer to design a new type of double body torsion spring or tension spring. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because we have a very talented prototype department that works and figures out how to basically make a part similarly to how it would be made on a machine, but because they don't have all of the tools of the machine, they have to do it step by step and create a process by which we can create these springs, allowing us to work with the customer to design and to test completely new types of products before they would even manage to hit production. And by working with them and with the engineering team, we can end up delivering these higher quality and bigger and more innovative parts to our customers as well. Additionally, we have a whole lot of different types of springs. Like you saw previously, we had metal stampings in the first slide for the brake pads. Those are, like was mentioned earlier, a giant press that's coming down and sort of making the outline of the actual part itself. But then we have slides that come in up and down at a later step by step go through every single bend until it gets its shape. Other times we have things like torsion springs where the machine sort of feeds a wire into the machine and the operators end up helping to program the machine and to basically get all the tools set properly and make it so it is forming the spring as the wire is coming out. It'll end up doing twists and bends and coiling the part out. And our machine operators are in charge of making sure that it can handle being able to do all of those steps. And that means that the operators are very responsible for the actual parts that are coming out. So if you want to have the responsibility of not only operating a machine, but also having the technical know-how to know how to adjust it, what it needs to be adjusted to, we work with our employees to make sure that everyone knows how to read a print, and they get training through other people in their department to make sure they understand the full process of creating the spring from the raw material itself. This is, again, just for parts that are bent wire, just wire gets fed into a machine and it gets bent various ways. We don't make all of these at our facility here in Muskegon. However, these are all parts that have been made in the Scherdel group overall. So some of these are from Germany. Some of these are made, I think some of these were at least prototyped locally. Some of these are made locally as well. So we do, even just for wires and like torsion springs, we have a very wide variety of parts that can actually end up in production. Spiral springs are another very large department here. Like I mentioned previously, you sort of have the wire being fed in and then you end up bending it into position. Spiral springs actually oftentimes go right in the engine of a vehicle. It helps make sure that this specific type of part ends up helping regulate the position the camshaft is at to end up making it so your engine can be more efficient at varying RPMs. But we have a lot of people in this department, especially, that have to have a lot of technical know-how and understand, okay, this is how you read a very detailed print and understand all of the things that it's requiring you to do. And then we end up, if there are challenges, we have a whole team of people who have been working in this department, who are the engineers responsible for it. And we work with the customers directly in order to figure out the best designs for what our production capabilities are, as well as for their final product. So like I was mentioning, it goes into the variable cam timing, and we can see some of the pictures of how it actually assembles right into the engine itself, basically making sure that it can adjust the camshaft for the engine. Mini flex expanders, this may not look like a traditional spring like a lot of the others may have, but this is actually a very important part of a vehicle that goes right in the engine as well. We have a department that makes these springs, and the machines, I wish I could show you a picture of them, but they're really cool because as we feed this wire in, we literally have gears that are going together and forming the waves of this material, of this part. When we end up doing this, we have to have operators that know exactly how to adjust the gears, which gears are used for which parts, because not only do we have a wavy pattern, we also have several different wavy patterns along the depth of the material, meaning that the operators have to very much understand what all is required and how to end up setting everything perfectly to end up cranking these rings that go right on the pistons of the engine. Make them correctly. We also have adapted several new technologies in order to sort of look into the future for what this type of part is going to require and end up making sure that we are staying ahead of the curve and being ready to adapt as the market ends up shifting. And assemblies, like I said, this is the department that I'm the applications engineer for. We have a wide variety of different parts. Up on the top, for example, these parts go in the transmission of the vehicle itself. The specific part on the far left top side, that's a part that regulates the oil pressure through essentially the brain, the valve body of the transmission. And we have the operators who not only make the spring and coil the spring itself, but also make sure to monitor all of the assemblies and make sure that those are coming out properly and that we're not going to have any quality issues with it. Because if your transmission breaks down, you're sort of in trouble. So we have to work very closely with everyone on the floor. So if they spot an issue, it's not just them that has to solve it. If they spot an issue, we have people who are more experienced in production. We have quality. We have an engineering team all on site and available to end up helping when things end up going and having difficulties. But all of that starts with the operators themselves and making sure that they're ending up paying attention to the process and seeing the even slight differences. I'm amazed, honestly, by a lot of the operators. For example, for some of the stamping and bending parts, they can just hear when the machine is off by a very small amount and know that a problem is going to occur before anything bad actually happens. And it's that kind of attention to detail and involvement and passion for the work that we really appreciate out of our employees at Scherdel. But like I mentioned, that valve spring ends up going right in the transmission of the vehicle, and below it we have a trunk, basically one of the a spring support that ends up making it easy to close the hatchback of an SUV. And these are all parts that we have employees making subcomponents for, making the assemblies themselves. And there's a lot of very detailed work and attention that goes in at all of the levels through the company in order to make a quality final product that goes to the customer. And that's basically a relatively broad summary of the various departments and products that we make here, and the involvement of not just the people on the production floor, but the quality team and the engineering team as well.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the detail that everybody takes at Scherdel in what they do. So it makes everyone riding in their car and their vehicles much safer. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to open it up to some questions here. I know that our panelists have been answering some of the questions, but I'm going to open this up to everybody, and I'll let you guys decide who wants to answer this. But we did get a couple of questions of, does anybody have opportunities for students who are under 18 to work at their organization?
This is Nick from Eagle. We do. If you are 18, you're allowed to work anywhere in our facility. If you are under 18, our minimum is 17, and you can work anywhere in our facility except the pouring and melting department. Meaning you could start, if you had no training, no background, no specialty skill set, we would start you as a general laborer, and you could work your way up to go into molding, into cores, into inspection departments, into heat treat, into more of the specialty as kind of the individual soft fit.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on that one?
Yeah, Carol, I can say basically it's the same situation here at Quality Tool and Stamping. We do have opportunities for folks who are still in high school, and some of the larger equipment, honestly, where safety is more of a factor, like out in the press room primarily. We wouldn't have any positions out there, but there's a variety of general labor roles throughout the facility that they could fill, and certainly lay the groundwork for future transitions.
Okay, thank you. How about summer opportunities for students, either high school or in college? Is there any summer internships or things like that at any of your organizations?
Carol, we do summer internships at GE Aviation, primarily for students that are engineering students, primarily mechanical engineering. Although we also will typically bring on some people that are studying supply chain management, logistics, sourcing, general business, but again, the bulk of them are engineering students.
Okay, all right. We also got a couple of questions.
I say, Carol, we would also do the same, but we will also do on the floor, as far as like if we have a welder, somebody at Thompson M-Tech or local tech school, or somebody looking for some journeyman kind of hours, stuff like that. We've been known to do that for electrical maintenance technicians. So wide variety.
Okay, good. And if somebody wanted to become a welder, Nick, how would they go about doing that?
If you don't come in with experience, it would be something that we could train you in-house, internal. We have two different processes that we use for TIG and stick. We could use that in cooperation with a local college or technical school, trade school. Otherwise, we do have several welders that are skilled ASME Section 9 boiler code compliant that would provide that training. That is most on how we do, is just kind of like a job shadow with one of the guys that would be working on the floor.
Okay, thank you. For those that do tuition reimbursement, is there a grade equivalent, sort of, you have to have an A to get this much reimbursement, and a B and you get some much reimbursement per your grade? Can anybody speak to that?
Hi, Ken Robinson from Scherdel here. We do tuition reimbursement. We have 80% we cover 80% of books and tuition. And with that, you just have to maintain a C grade point average, a C or better. Anything lower than that, then you have to pay it back.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? About the same for everybody, or?
Excuse me. For undergraduate courses, as well as just general knowledge courses, we would reimburse at 100% with a C or better. For graduate level courses, they have to have a B or better in order to be reimbursed for those.
Okay, all right. This is probably for Preston or for Matthew. What's the starting salary for an entry-level stamper? Oh, sure. We're going to have.
So the range is about $12 to $15 dollars an hour. And if you don't have any experience, you'll probably be on the lower end of that, but that's not necessarily the case in all circumstances. So, but I'd say 12 to 15.
Okay, great. Thank you. David, I'm going to ask you this question. You talked a lot about the quality of your products and everybody looking at that. When there is a problem or somebody sees something on the floor, walk us through sort of who's involved in that discussion of looking at the particular product that you're creating, and you know, what feedback, what happens during that whole process when you're looking at something and trying to improve it?
Well, there are a lot of different steps, and it may end up getting moved to a later step depending on what the issue is, for example. But in general, a lot of the issues that if a product ends up falling out of tolerance, for example, a lot of those issues are very manageable by the operators themselves, and we give them the training and experience necessary in order to address those issues. However, sometimes issues are more persistent than that, or there's a larger issue that falls outside of the machine's ability to fix. And so for instances like that, we have a quality team that can help us diagnose the issues, as well as if it ends up affecting, if it's a larger or bigger issue, we have a number of applications engineers. Each of our departments has an engineer that's responsible for it. So if there is, for example, a problem with one of the assemblies where we maybe got a bad part, the operators can't necessarily do anything about that, but they can let quality know, they can let me know, and we can end up trying to figure out whether or not we can reach a potential solution for that. Other times we end up having customers that end up throwing us curveballs sometimes, and we end up having to work in the process in reverse, sort of taking changes that are made by the customer and ending up working them back down onto the floor for an existing part. So depending on what the issue is, it may end up being something that can be a quick, easy fix by an operator, or it can be something that can be a larger discussion that can take weeks or even months to hash out with the customer themselves.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open this up to the team. Does anybody have marketing or advertising team that at your company?
At Quality Tool and Stamping, some of y'all might be surprised to hear this, but we don't. Our engineers, our sales engineers, and their relationships with our customers have driven all of our growth for decades. And so I think we're very fortunate to be in a circumstance where that's the case, and that's certainly not true for every company.
Okay. All right. How about if anybody can talk quickly about it, just let us know if you have the apprenticeships at your organization, because I did see another question about that.
We do have apprenticeship programs in both machine repair and tool making at our facility. We started our first one about 4 years ago after about a 30-year gap. We had always been able to hire away from other employers, but with what happened in the late decade of the 2000s with the Great Recession, we found ourselves not being able to do that any longer, so needed to start growing our own.
Okay. And how long is your training process or the apprenticeship process?
It's a traditional 4-year, 8,000 hour.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. Well, I'm going to have our panelists stay on maybe for a minute. We'll answer some final questions, but while we are doing that, I just want to remind you again that to say first, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate your time. Once you close out of this webinar, there will be a survey for you to complete. So if you can take a look at that and let us know how we did, as well as information about our scholarships. We have 6 $500 scholarships for students who are seniors who are looking to go into the manufacturing field. So please take a look at that. If you don't have that, please ask your educator, your teacher. They will have that information, or you can contact us. Finally, all of these webinars today and the rest that are happening this week will be have been recorded, and they will be put into the Discover Manufacturing YouTube channel, which will be there probably within about 24 hours following this live event. So if you missed something or you want to show somebody something, please look at that and check us out. So thank you again. We appreciate your time. If you have a few minutes, you want to stay on and see the answers to the questions, and if not, have a great day. Bye-bye. All right. Looks like we got through most of them, guys. So I thank you. I'll take a look at those. I'll copy those down, but The students will also will be getting an email from us that will have your information on it. So in case they have a specific question that maybe they didn't get to ask, you may get some follow-up questions after this. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Bye, Carol.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.